believe Lucas's performance against Chelsea is perhaps a turning point in his Liverpool career?
Well, I wasn't here last year when he was being so heavily criticised. You know, I can only judge him from the time I met him in Switzerland when we had our training camp, and he was one of the few senior players at the training camp. And from that day, he's impressed me with his attitude, his desire, his willingness to try and take on board, if you like, what we're trying to do. And so therefore I've never had any real reason to criticise him. The prejudice, if you like, existed before I came on the scene. So I'm not surprised by his performances, but of course the people who are surprised are people maybe who've seen him in the past and have been somewhat prejudiced against him.
Is he perhaps though benefiting from getting a regular run in what is a relatively settled side so far this season?
Maybe, but I don't know how. I think he played quite often last year as well, if I'm not mistaken, so I don't know.
I just wonder whether there was always that worry that the side would chop and change and he didn't really know that he was going to get the run in the side, where he seems to feel that at the moment.
Well, if you're going to be a good side, if you're going to be a top side, basically, you know, people need to be a little bit fearful of their places. I think if you take all of the top teams, the 11 that maybe we all see as the typical 11 will only be that way because there's 4 to 5 good players knocking on the door, making it clear that if you don't perform, you are going to be struggling because I'm a really good player and I can take your place. So I would like to think that we'll get into that situation as well. But it's a good point you're making, and it's one of those things that perhaps you'd have to ask him the question. Probably I'm satisfied with him. I'm satisfied with what he's doing. And I'm actually very satisfied with what he's done since I came to the club, and long may that continue.